That was unfortunate. I completely misjudged the water pressure on those taps, and of course it went everywhere. Fortunately, it's not urine, so it won't stain.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Jonathan Creek podcast, where unfortunately we cannot make any guarantees about stains.
No, I've been looking at your shirt suspiciously since you walked in.
I misjudged the pressure.
Sure.
Could be a sticky night.
It really is.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm better than a reanimated corpse anyway.
I'm glad one of us is.
How are you, Gerry?
Terrible.
What's wrong?
Loaded with the cold all week, but as a guy, I don't like to complain. You know?
That's quite a sexist comment you've made there.
It is, yeah. I complain all the time, like a guy.
I don't think you've stopped complaining all week.
No, coughing, wheezing, it's murder, yeah, I'm the worst patient
I wouldn't
ever.
be here if I wasn't so professional.
Anyway, what did you think of this week's episode?
I quite enjoyed this week's episode again. It's been a strong start to the series, I think.
Very strong. Can only go downhill from here.
Let's hope not.
Nigel Planer this week.
What a star. Very funny man.
Yep. We can get to him in due course.
Might as well dive into the episode then.
You want to?
Well, I've prepared the summary, so
You've got a summary.
as always.
Crack on.
In the Reconstituted Corpse, one case turns to two when Maddie secures evidence that seems to exonerate her client, Zola Zbzewski, only for Zola herself to turn up dead in Maddie's flat inside a previously empty wardrobe the next day. It seems impossible for the body to have been placed in the wardrobe on its way up Maddie's stairs. So she turns to Jonathan for help in figuring out who killed Zola and how the body appeared out of nowhere in her spare room. Could Maddie's own life be at risk, or is there a less dramatic explanation to be found?
Thanks, Ian. I am glad you pronounced Zola's surname. I tried 4 times earlier, didn't manage it. She's getting called Zola from now on.
It's something like Zbzewski.
Something like that.
Yeah. Apologies to our Polish listeners or anybody who is offended by that.
We begin this week in a TV studio.
Yeah, the crew are setting up for an interview show on the television.
Yes, Zola is having a chat about the decades worth of cosmetic surgery that she has had done, and at the same time promoting her new book.
Yeah, she's documented her experiences.
She discusses her motivations for the surgery and then talks about the surgeon, a David Kirchen.
Yeah, her motivations are quite
Superficial?
well. She says she was dumped by her first boyfriend when she was pregnant, and that taught her that looks are everything.
Yeah, that's not really the message you should be taking from that. Perhaps her first boyfriend or husband was a bit of an arse.
Well, it's a very small sample to extrapolate from, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite an extreme reaction.
Yeah, I would say so. But she's ended up in a weird relationship with this plastic surgeon who she claims treated her basically like a bit of clay.
Yes, apparently he has a touch of the Frankensteins about him.
It sounds that way.
Apparently he wanted to create his own perfect woman, but she then left him for a younger Swedish swimming instructor.
Try saying that 10 times quickly.
His name's Rudy. We meet him later on.
We do, he doesn't say much.
Rudy the Nudie.
At this point, the TV production crew pulls a bit of a sly move, you might say.
Very unethical. I would not be happy with this at all. So we see Rudy, the lover, watch on from the wings alongside a chap who we come to learn is her publicist, Sam Brickman.
Yeah, and if you take what she says has happened in her relationship with Kirchen as true, she's essentially saying it's a form of abuse, the way that he's treated her. So what the TV company have decided to do is bring out her abuser to face her on live television. Well, not live, but on a show that we broadcast as live.
I don't think even Jeremy Kyle would do such a thing, would he?
I wouldn't have thought so. Not without it being set up in advance.
So she's asked by the interviewer if she is bitter about the split with her ex, and she suggests that they ask him, and at this point he is sat down beside her.
He's wheeled out, essentially. It's very Jeremy Kyle, until they pull out an extra chair, and it's all a bit unsettling, I would say.
Yes, it doesn't go well.
What is this?
Yes, first of all, let me say that having plowed through this so-called record of our relationship, I was somewhat surprised to find it classified as biography. I'd have thought fantasy fiction came nearer the mark.
Oh, here come the cheap cracks.
The operations I performed were at her insistence, and she knows that. She was the one who was obsessed with this insane program of total reconstitution. What was I going to do, huh? For my sins, I loved her.
You loved the woman you were turning me into.
I didn't recognize the woman you were turning into. This is a sick mind, Zola, and my lawyers are going to make damn sure this never reaches any bookshelf.
Okay, that's enough. My client doesn't need this.
I'm going to slap 7 kinds of writ on every last one of you. For defamation, misrepresentation, I'm going to flush this
out.
thing
We've been
down.
joined by Mrs. Zbyszewski's manager and publicist, Mr. Sam Brickman.
I said cut it! Now you get this scalpel-happy quack out of here, start again, or this interview is over.
God help me! As I made you, I'll destroy you at any cost! And that's a promise!
You get the impression there's blame to go round here.
Yeah, neither of them are particularly likeable.
I wouldn't say either of them are at all likeable from what we've seen.
Sam Kirchen was played by Ron Burgess. Not a lot of information about him, but he has starred in Highlander, Messiah, The Tomorrow People and Poirot. Not done much for a few years on TV or movies. Perhaps he's doing stage work.
Can't say I've recognised him at all watching this.
What did you think of his threat at the end there?
It was a bit hyperbolic and cartoonish.
That's what I was going to say, very cartoon-like.
I'll get you next time.
From the TV studio, we head over to Zola's plush English pad. And as they arrive there, we notice that there's scaffolding being erected.
Some kind of work being done on the building.
She has a stiff drink to calm her nerves, and her daughter Victoria is waiting for them and wants to know what has happened, and Brickman explains what went on.
He does. While they're talking, we see the Swedish boyfriend strip down to his trunks and wander off out to the pool.
Yes, we see Victoria cast a quick glance at him.
That'll maybe come back up later.
From Zola's home, we head over to Jonathan's windmill. Quick scene.
Very quick.
What happens?
Well, Jonathan's calling the theatre. Obviously, he's got a show on with Adam about the elephant that they're using for an elephant levitation trick. And he speaks to a man there who's a bit
harassed.
I would say he's up to Hido, yes. The elephant is trapped under the stage and keeps defecating everywhere.
As this conversation goes on, we see numerous people run by with spades and buckets.
Jonathan sympathises, but he's not coming in till a bit later on.
Back again to Zola's place. It's night time, and we get a now familiar POV shot.
Yeah, we've learned from the earlier episodes it's not necessarily somebody there when there's a POV shot. But on this occasion, Victoria, the daughter, gets the impression she's being watched.
Yes, she's drying her hair. She sees a flicker in the garden and closes the curtains. And downstairs, Zola tells her that the show that they recorded earlier, which incidentally was reshot.
Yes, as demanded in the clip we heard.
And it will be going out at around 10:30 that night. Rudy is not in, he's out doing his Tai Chi.
Yeah, at least they didn't go with Feng Shui. Victoria explains to Zola what she thought she saw. There's apparently some creep with a video camera.
Yeah, a weirdo, but she thinks that she has scared him away, and apparently the cops have had numerous reportings. I wasn't sure if that was numerous reportings from them or just in general. Is he a known peeping Tom in the neighbourhood?
It doesn't come up again, so we don't know. She says to her mother to be careful, and as Zola looks out to the garden, she doesn't see anything.
No. So at this point, Victoria leaves and we head over to the theatre.
Jonathan arrives and everyone looks a bit glum.
Yes, there are several shocked looking faces, I would say.
The zookeeper arrives. We know he's the zookeeper because it's been written on his jumper. It's like, you remember back in the first episode, they had the line of dialogue that was put in to identify the woman as a cleaner without clunky explanations being required. This is the same trick.
Sure. We very quickly end up in the pub. Jonathan and the zookeeper sitting somberly.
It's an impromptu wake. The elephant's died.
Of a heart attack.
Yeah, it's dead at 57. It could have happened apparently at any time, but the zookeeper comments that she died the way she would have liked. He means in show business performing, Jonathan says, "We're trapped under a stage up to our knees in dung."
And I think this is an example of the type of black humour that we get in Jonathan Creek.
Yeah, I don't think Jonathan's the kind of guy who is going to back down from a witty remark just because it involves death.
No.
In fact, if you look back just to the previous episode, he made a similar comment when Jack Holiday died.
Remind me?
He said it's the first time he's made him laugh.
Yes. Over in Kirchin's home, it's 10:35 and he is looking through a microscope before tuning in to the interview.
Yeah, you see there's a play on the POV shot here. A camera kind of comes up behind him and he looks around at his clock.
The bell goes and he walks over to the door, glass of wine in hand, looks through the spy hole. What happens?
A gun is placed to the exterior of the spy hole and he is shot in the eye.
Yes, the gun is held by a gloved hand.
Yes, the gloved hand of justice, you might say.
You could say that, yeah.
You probably wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't
The
say
police
that.
certainly wouldn't describe it that way.
No.
Extrajudicial, in fact. The gloved extrajudicial hand of justice.
That's a mouthful. It's a really crappy superhero.
It's not the catchiest name, is it? It's a thing, I think we talked about this earlier off mic. You've seen this sort of device in television and film before. I think there's a movie, is it Fled? With Lawrence Fishburne's one of the more prominent ones. I think one of the Saw movies had something.
In real
similar
life,
as well.
apparently, the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski, I think he did that a few times.
It reminds me a little bit of, I think it's No Country for Old Men, when he uses the pressure thing to shoot the doorknob at people.
So Churchin drops dead. The wine dramatically, theatrically falls beside him and crashes, smashes.
They're using wine as a metaphor for the blood, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's not the most inventive, but it works okay.
Over at Maddie's house, she answers the phone to her agent Barry,
Yes.
who appears to have good news, and they arrange to have lunch the next day.
She flicks through her television and can't find anything she wants to watch, including the interview with Zola.
Yeah, before that, it is the end of an episode of Porridge.
End of Summer Holiday with Cliff Richard.
Yep. And the news.
Newsnight starts.
Yeah.
That's still on.
Mm-hmm. And she starts to watch, as you mentioned, this nauseating interview.
With the sound off, so it can't be that exciting
No.
for her to watch two folks sitting on a sofa. And it's not, so she opens a letter.
She does. And inside the letter is a photograph of a fairly young-looking, reasonably handsome man.
We assume this is some kind of a case, maybe?
Perhaps. She smiles as she looks at it. So perhaps not a case.
Who knows?
We're back over to Kirchin's and it's now the crime scene. Cops and forensics are all over the place. And what do we see?
They found a crystal earring.
Is it crystal?
Well, I don't know, it looked kind of crystal-y.
Diamond?
You think diamond? There's a lot of diamonds for that to be a diamond earring. It'd be really expensive.
True. I don't know anything about these type of things.
Neither do I. We're not the people to come to in
A
this
piece
one.
of expensive jewellery.
Certainly expensive looking.
It's been discovered on the ground.
I think on the doorstep.
Yeah. The next day, the restaurant.
Lunch with Barry.
Baza is praising her on her new book and indicates that the inclusion of Jonathan Creek has played a big part in its success.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Jonathan specifically or if it's a character like Jonathan. I don't know if these are fictional or real life stories. Is she writing up the cases that they're doing?
Yeah, she's playing the Dr. Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a sort of knowing, winking, nudging glance between both of them. I think they both realise that perhaps she's not crediting Jonathan fully.
Okay.
In any case.
As they're sitting there, she spots a wardrobe for sale on the pavement across the road.
Yeah, so she jumps out to go and try and buy this. And as she does, Barry gets a phone call with a message for her.
Yes, it's Victoria.
What does she want?
She wants Maddie to help. She wants another side of the evidence to be found because her mother is going to be charged, or at least accused of this murder.
Yeah, she's been arrested.
Absolutely she has.
So, from there we head over to Zola's house, where she, Victoria and Rudy are briefing Maddie.
By some miracle we got bail till next Friday. The rest of it's just like a complete nightmare. I mean, you're good at this, right? Finding another side to the evidence.
Why pretend I had no motive to kill him? If he'd lived, he'd have sabotaged my book, wrecked all my plans for my new cosmetic surgery. More than anyone else alive, I wanted him out of the way.
Yes, I wouldn't necessarily dwell on that aspect in the witness box, Miss Brzezowski. Juries are funny things. You've got a bit of tissue on your bottom lip. Top lip, I don't know why I called it that. We're looking at two problems here, aren't we? Kirchin was killed at 10:37. That's when the neighbour heard a gunshot, for which time, basically, you have no alibi.
I was here in this house on my own. I worked through till quite late. Then I started getting ready for bed. 10:30, just after, I suddenly remembered the interview I'd recorded was going out, so I watched that. Then I had a bath and I went to sleep.
Problem number 2. The police found one of your earrings on Kirchin's doorstep.
They found someone's earring. It wasn't one of mine. I've never owned an earring like that.
I've never seen Zola wearing that earring.
Bless him, and he would know.
I like to lick around them with my tongue.
So are we to assume this is a few days later? If DNA tests have come back and she's been arrested?
Must be, yeah.
Probably the following week, because I don't imagine the police would do too much on the weekend.
Yeah. Rudy is an oddball, isn't he?
Very strange man.
The whole lot of them are.
I'm not sure what the attraction in Rudy is, to be honest.
Well, I can pretty much see it, yeah.
Well, I guess maybe you can see it. There's not much to think about.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. You can't see why a middle-aged woman might fancy a Swedish swimmer.
It wouldn't take long to get bored of him, surely.
What, you think that he will be mentally stimulated by her?
Well, I don't know. She's written a book.
Yeah, so is Jordan.
Okay. In any case, the DNA is a pretty significant problem for Zola.
Yes, because it's her DNA that's been found on the earrings.
Yeah.
Or earring.
Earring that was on the doorstep where the murder was committed.
She provided no explanation. Now, if we think about Columbo, when someone is accused of a crime, they always try to offer an explanation no matter what.
An elaborate, convoluted, unlikely explanation.
In this case, Zola doesn't try to come up with anything.
Well, she does. She says it's not her earring. She's never had that earring or anyone like it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is she doesn't try to then say, well, this is how my DNA might have got on it.
No, but Maddie's got an idea about that.
What's that?
She gets up to leave and Victoria follows her through to the front door and Zola doesn't get up. And Maddie ponders with Victoria, maybe Kirchin had some DNA in his lab and someone got access to that. She doesn't really flesh out the plan too much, but she thinks maybe there's a possibility that the DNA was planted.
It's a frame-up.
That's the idea.
Back to the pub. Who were playing on the jukebox?
Oasis.
It was. Wasn't a big fan, but it certainly captures that period in time.
Absolutely.
And Jonathan spots Maddie having a drink with the guy from the photograph.
What a coincidence.
So he interrupts, and she seems happy enough, almost expecting him.
She seems very pleased to see him.
Uh-huh.
The guy explains why they're there.
Yeah, Shelford.
They're on a blind date from a contact column. It all gets a bit cringy.
Yeah, he says that they're meeting up to see if they want to get into bed together. Not in that sense, it's management speak. He is clearly an irritating bore.
Yes, and Jonathan spots this immediately and takes advantage.
In what way?
He invites the two of them to eat with him.
Yes.
Maddie's not keen, but Shelford's right up for it. Which seems weird on a blind date.
Yeah, he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he says at this point that Cupid's arrow has found its mark, certainly from his perspective.
Yeah. It kind of skips forward a few moments. They're now seated at a table.
And Jonathan is pleased with himself as Maddie appears to seethe and reluctantly admits that she was duped by this younger photograph.
Well, Jonathan figures out before he even notices a photograph. He asks to see it. And she squirms and shows him. And he asks her about Zola's case.
Yeah, but before that, they order some food and Maddie initially says she's not that hungry and then orders about 12 things.
I suppose that can happen sometimes though. You don't know what you want, you're not really hungry, so you think of one thing and then something else occurs to you. I don't think you would order it all though.
No, you wouldn't order it all.
You would just pick one.
Yeah, especially in a dodgy wee pub.
Chili with rice and a jacket potato That's too many carbs to start with.
No, you wouldn't do that.
It's weird. It's like having a sandwich with pastry in it or something.
It's like, I don't understand people who would order pizza and you can, like at Domino's or whatever, you can order a side of garlic bread.
Yeah.
Why? You've bought a massive big bit of bread.
It's not even bread when you get at Domino's and that. It's another pizza.
Yeah.
It's garlic flavoured.
Yeah. It's an odd side to have.
Even chips with a pizza is not really necessary.
No, it's not at all.
Although chips in a roll, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's the exception that proves the rule. I don't think we ever actually see the food, do we?
No. But yeah, you mentioned that Jonathan asks her about the Zola case.
Yeah, that perturbs her a little bit. She thinks he's mind reading now.
But no, he explains that it's on the TV, a high-profile case at the moment, and he noticed her book in Maddie's bag.
Yes. And he comes up with the same idea that she already had about the DNA. We're already seeing this sort of dynamic between them where she likes getting one over on him, like being quicker than him or spotting something that he doesn't.
She does, however, go on to admit that there are no standout culprits before Jonathan makes things worse by seeing through her motive for the date with, to quote, the bastard son of Forrest Gump.
Yeah, he reckons that this has all been set up to make him jealous and has backfired spectacularly.
Aye, make him right.
And we then get to the moment we heard at the top of the show.
It's fantastic.
The delivery in this is just spot on.
I probably don't have to tell you who Shelford was played by, but I will anyway.
Okay.
Nigel Planer, born in 1953. This is his first of 2 Creek appearances. Probably most famous for Neil in The Young Ones, that's the hippie. Also in Brazil, Filthy Rich and Cat Flap, King and Castle, the comic strip presents, Nicholas Craig Masterclass, Shine on Harvey Moon, The Bill, The Grimleys, episodes, and he will appear in an episode of Blackadder.
How convenient.
Mm.
Coincidentally, you can hear about the episodes of Blackadder on our companion show, the Blackadder podcast.
Catches next week.
It's alternating with this show, if you haven't heard already. Episodes was good as well.
That's one with him from Friends.
Yeah, Matt LeBlanc and Stephen Mangan.
Yeah, not watched it. Back over to Zola's house.
Maddie's ready to eat again. She's asked if she's had breakfast and denies it, and I don't believe her for a second. I feel like she left the house with a full stomach.
They ponder the possibility of a frame-up, and Sam, who is there, suggests that militant feminists may be behind it.
Militant feminists is one of those things, their existence is always exaggerated, I feel.
Yeah, I think any time the word militant is used, it's generally sort of hyperbolic.
I think the militant feminists in this case, it's just feminists who say something you don't agree with.
Yeah, I'd say so. However, Maddie can't work out the logic of killing Kirchen rather than Zola herself. So if Zola was the intended victim, it's a bit of a roundabout way to get at her.
Yes, but it reminds me of a Columbo episode.
Which one?
One with David Rashi in it.
Yes.
Can't remember what it was called.
A Trace of Murder.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Where they try and his girlfriend's husband try and frame him for murder. Where does Zola find Victoria?
She finds her in bed.
As you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
But not alone.
No, with Rudy the Nudie.
Absolutely, and Maddie is a bit surprised.
Yes, it's Zola who finds her.
Yes.
And rather than shout and scream, she quietly, because they're asleep, she quietly closes the door and continues to chat with Maddie. And we discover they've got a very sharing relationship, just like you would do with your car.
Bit odd.
Very odd. It's a really odd setup, this.
Out in the garden, Maddie and Zola take a wander, and they find something in the bushes or the flowers.
They do. They find a camcorder.
Yes, an old style one that takes a full-size video cassette.
I'm trying to think how that in any way is believable. If you are the camcorder owner, how do you drop it and not notice?
Or not get it.
Yeah. It's like you've been out there to do a bit of peeping tomming.
Yep.
With your camcorder.
Mm-hmm.
You, trip up, you fall, you drop it, and you walk away and leave it?
It is odd.
Doesn't make any sense. That's the thing that Columbo would be looking at straight away and thinking, nah, I can't balance this.
Yeah, marbles start rolling.
Yeah. It's far too obviously a clue that's been planted.
It's been put there to be found, yeah. Anyway, they watch the tape and Maddie's very excited about it.
Now, they watch this tape before calling the cops, so they get their grubby little paws up.
Yeah, first of all they say, watch out, no fingerprints, there might be something, and then next thing they've brought it inside without calling the police or anything.
In any case, they watch this video and we see that it is Thursday the 6th from the calendar, which is conveniently on show. But more importantly, from the TV shows that are on screen, we discovered that Zola has an alibi.
Yeah, it wasn't hugely convincing. Did you buy it the first time you watched it?
Can't remember, 20 years ago. I wasn't watching it with a sort of critical eye back then.
That's true. You maybe just let it wash over you and accept, yeah, this is what's happened.
Yeah.
Maddie's delighted. She thinks this is the golden bullet, so to speak, the alibi.
So later we see cops take away this camcorder in a bag, and Maddie mentions that they have now got their own copies.
Yeah, how did they manage that? Because the technology you need to copy a videotape in 1997, it wasn't just like downloading it to your computer.
No, but I think all you needed was
a second video deck. You need at least 2 video decks.
No, you could record it, you could play it from the camcorder, and all you had to have was some wires into the back of your
into the
video.
back of your VCR, record it there. Okay. I never had a camcorder, so I don't know.
Neither did I.
I think we maybe borrowed the school one to make movies at the weekends and stuff.
Yeah, this is an interesting difference in, I suppose, culture from perhaps the States and the UK.
Yeah, camcorders are big.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, there are plenty of home movie reels, whether it be famous people or average, Joe on the street.
Yeah.
Over here, not such a...
Yeah, and it would be a special occasion. I think there's a VCR tape of my 5th birthday party, and that's it, in my parents' home.
Yeah.
But they've still got it. So, whereas now you film everything on your phone, but then it's gone, you delete it, or it's Snapchatted and it deletes itself. And so you record a lot more and keep a lot less.
Sure.
It's interesting. Victoria makes a comment about the tape not showing who was trying to frame Zola. It gets her off with the alibi, but it doesn't help them work out why.
Yeah. It doesn't... Yes, it's only an alibi apparently for Zola, but it doesn't further the investigation into the guilty party.
No. Maddie gets a copy of the tape away with her.
In her car, she pretends to call Jonathan by mistake so that she can then have a go at him for the elephant death.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's why she's calling, though. She teases him about the elephant, but what she really wants is for him to ask about the Zola case so she can immediately tell him she's solved it.
Yeah, it's a bit of boasting, isn't it?
Gloating.
He mentions that he has been thinking about it and has got a few ideas, but she's not interested. As far as she's concerned, case closed.
Yep. She's then home with some shopping.
Yep, and the phone goes. She can't be bothered to answer it, goes to the answer machine, and there is a silent... At first I thought it was a heavy breathing.
See, this is another thing where technology's changed. So obviously back in the 90s, you would have an answer phone, if you had an answer phone, in your house, that you could hear the message being left.
Yeah.
While it was being left. So we can hear here that there's a few seconds of nothing. But nowadays, you wouldn't... Even on a landline, it's done out of earshot. It's done on a private system, like your 1571 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite... Was that a setting that you could turn off? Because it would be quite intrusive. I mean, if people call at night, for example, that's the whole point. You don't want to answer it. You're sleeping, so you don't want the whole house to be woken up with...
Yeah, no, we never had an answer machine, so I don't know. Until they put on the system on the line where you would be able to just leave messages and dial back to find what they were. We never had messages.
Neither did we.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't mean that my mother spent 2 hours on the phone to her mother every evening. Her doorbell rings. Maddie's doorbell. It's the wardrobe.
Well, it's the delivery men with the wardrobe. She goes out to give it a quick once over, and as soon as she mentions that she lives on the top floor and it won't fit in the elevator, the delivery guys make a fast getaway.
I think it's not... I mean, it's obviously they don't want to lift up the stairs, but I think the way she tells them is also a motivating factor for them. They're like, well, if she's going to be a bit of a pain about this, then don't see why we should break our backs for her.
Yes, and see, this is the thing. When you're delivering something, I would imagine, I'm always asked, look, where do you live? Is there any steps? What floor are you on? If you don't ask those questions, then perhaps the onus is on you, the delivery company.
Yeah, but this is a very lo-fi sort of setup. It's like sort of almost a stall or a shop.
It's a second-hand shop. Yeah, she should probably have mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, she could have offered them 20 quid or something to do it.
In any case, they disappear, but who reappears?
Well, quite fortuitously, it's Shelford. He's walking past right at that moment and is conned into breaking his back.
Yeah, he's on his lunch break and he helps push this or lift this wardrobe up the 4 flights of steps.
Yeah, it's 8 flights, it's 4 floors.
Yeah,
so
sure.
2 flights in each. It's his lunch break, but he's got a meeting at 12, he says later, so it must have been quite an early lunch.
Yeah.
What do you think? He's a lawyer, an accountant? What do you think?
It says management. I'm not sure that, that's...
I don't know. Something corporate?
Yeah.
Finance, maybe.
But he doesn't look like a mover and a shaker. He looks more like a geeky accountant.
Maybe he uses management speak even though he doesn't use it at work.
Covered in sweat, he eventually manages to get it up the stairs, only to be dismissed by Maddie with an unconvincing promise of giving him a ring sometime later.
Well, he has to leave to go to this meeting and she promises she'll call. She does not in any way mean that she will call.
No, she means...
will not call.
Yes. She admires her new wardrobe.
She does.
She inspects it.
She does.
And she then opens the door.
Well, here's a critical moment. Did she unlock the door here?
I can't remember.
Neither can I, and that probably would make a difference. She definitely locked it at the bottom of the stairs.
Did she?
Yes. But I don't remember if she unlocked it here. If she didn't unlock it here, there's not a problem. If she did unlock it here, then there would need to be some kind of mechanism for locking it on the inside.
How did she lock it at the
There's
bottom?
a key in the door.
Okay.
Which I think she left in the door.
You would do. You wouldn't take it out.
No. But I presume she locked it so it didn't swing open on its way up the stairs.
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly what happened in that moment.
No matter. She opens the door.
A body falls out of the wardrobe and it's Zola.
It is.
A wee bit later, police are there. And Maddie's desperately trying to get hold of Jonathan.
Yes. She's frantically calling him, demanding that he gets over there immediately, never mind the elephant funeral.
I don't think it's Jonathan she's speaking to, though. I think it's the guy at the theatre.
Sure. So he has appeared, and they run through exactly what happened with the wardrobe. And we discover that Zola was killed by being hit across the back of the head with a
blunt object,
an implement of some sort.
An implement of doom.
But Maddie is not happy when Jonathan doesn't immediately provide an explanation.
It's a good one, isn't it?
A good one? Is that all you can say? Somewhere between here and the ground, someone's planted a corpse in my cupboard and I didn't even see it happen. What is going on? The coppers think I'm mental. They're probably right. The whole thing's seriously impossible.
What floor are we on?
4th. And there are 8 flights of stairs.
Anyone else come near you at any point on the way?
Mrs. Barnstable, next floor down, brought out a couple of glasses of lemonade. Otherwise...
Not Mrs. Barnstable, the celebrated lemonade doper, with her well-known ploy of switching cabinets under the victim's nose.
Zola Spojewski is dead. First someone tries to frame her for murder, and when that fails, they make sure of the job with a blunt instrument and dump the body on my doorstep, presumably to try and rattle me. And if the best you can do is make glib remarks, you can just go home now.
Her mood is not improved, as Jonathan then gives her false hope by getting into the piece of furniture and making no sound for a moment.
Well, he does 3 knocks, and then 2 knocks, and then 1 knock, and then silence, and then it's fine.
Yeah. But he quickly reappears. It's not a magical wardrobe.
No, he asks her a question.
What's that?
Want to know how it was done.
Yep, he's taunting her a 3rd time.
Have I taunted you a 2nd time? She says yes, and he says that makes 2 of us.
Back to Zola's house, we see Victoria being given the tragic news and the discovery of a lead pipe outside the window.
There's a pencil there as well.
There is. I thought that was going to play a part. I couldn't remember.
It didn't.
No. Whilst we're here, Victoria was played by Rebecca Johnson. She is known for The Trip, Holby City, Midsummer Murders, Spooks, Poirot, Just William, Casualty 1906, Casualty 1907 and Casualty 1909. Back at Maddie's house, Jonathan is retracing his steps back down and notices a bent overflow pipe outside and an open window.
Maddie can't remember if the window was open when they brought the wardrobe up.
Downstairs, he inspects some bags of rubbish and picks up a flower that has fallen from the window box below Maddie's flat.
Yeah, the 3rd floor.
Maddie herself has a solution that Jonathan immediately dismisses as impossible. Can you remember what that was?
Well, she's convinced something happened on the 3rd floor where they stopped to have their lemonade. Whether it was someone switched or put the body in through the window, or I can't remember exactly what she says.
I think she's claiming that someone climbed up the pipe outside with a body.
That's not possible.
No.
Jonathan starts talking about his method a little bit.
Yes, points on a chart.
Yeah, and he doesn't know where they're leading, but there's points on this graph and they will eventually go in the right direction, he hopes.
He's put off, however, by what?
Does she dip her banana in her tea?
Yeah, it's coffee because she says it's a combination of chocolate or something.
Okay. Weird.
Very. Although I must admit I have done it myself.
Dipped a banana in your coffee?
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever done that. I have had banana with ice cream. That's nice. Yeah.
It's not disgusting to dip your banana in a coffee.
It's a bit weird.
He then asks her about anything unusual that might have happened in the last day or so.
Yeah, she recalls the message that she got on her answer machine, and he asks if anyone's called since then. Now, I don't know if you still get this. Maybe you do on landlines. I don't have a landline, so I can't say, but back in the 90s, certainly you could dial 1471.
Yeah, I think you can, yeah.
And it would tell you who the last number to phone your landline was.
Yeah, provided they didn't try to hide it, which you could do by dialing 141.
Yes. And, or certain numbers were blocked anyway. I think mobiles didn't always give out their number, and certain premium rate lines and things like that.
Yeah, and in this case, there is no number recorded, and Jonathan assumes it is a mobile number.
Yeah, or someone's blocked them, yeah.
Just then, she receives a call from the police with some interesting news.
It's Jim, the policeman.
Yes? What does he have to tell her?
They found the iron piping, which matches iron filings from the headwind on Zola.
Yes, it's the murder weapon.
But it was at her house.
So, either the weapon was dumped at Zola's house, or the body was moved from her house 5 miles to Maddie's flat.
All very disturbing.
Back at the windmill.
This is a weird scene.
Why?
Well, basically Jonathan thinks we get some sort of mystical music playing and he stares.
Yes. His facial expression indicates that perhaps he is realising something.
Yeah, and that's it. Nobody says anything. Did you notice how much of this episode took place either at Zola's house or Maddie's flat?
I'm noticing it now as I say. We go from Zola's house to Maddie's house, from Zola's house to Maddie's house.
I was thinking that when I was watching it. Maybe they didn't want to spend a... We talked earlier about the budgetary reasons for not having the elephant or Adam Klaus in the rest of the series. It could be maybe they originally wanted to have the elephant show in here. And
they've also hired this large house. They want to get their money's worth.
Perhaps.
Back to Maddie's flat.
Yes, Jonathan's rewinding and pausing the alibi tape.
Yeah, Maddie suggests that perhaps he is doing it for unprofessional purposes.
Yes, he scoffs at that and asks her if she knows the difference between a tracking shot and a pan.
Yes, and they also chat about the height of the person recording the video.
Yeah, Maddie thinks he would have had to be tall to see over the fence.
Jonathan non-committally shrugs this off.
So you think he was tall, he says, or something along those lines. It's very much along the lines of, yeah, you're wrong.
And when she asks him what rubbish he's talking now, he perks up and heads downstairs to the bins for a rummage.
Yeah, from the word rubbish, he's taking a little prompt.
As he does this, Shelford arrives at Maddie's door, but is met with rather brutal news.
Morning. It's the bad penny again. Actually, it's my day off, so I don't know how you're fixed. Oh, I bought you some underwear.
Oh, Shelford. I think you better come in for a sec. Look, it's not that I don't find you attractive.
Oh, good.
No, that's not true. It is that I don't find you attractive. It's no reflection on you as a person. You're very warm and kind and generous. It's just that I can't find it in myself to want to spend another second of my life in your company. Do you understand? It could never work, not even as science fiction. You and me are a total no-no.
Still, it's early days, isn't it? And from little acorns, mighty oaks do grow.
And the other thing is, I'm already sleeping with Jonathan. Where have you been? You love rocket, come here and give me your tongue.
Love Rocket.
I think she's overplaying her hand a little bit there.
And Jonathan Rocket.
It's an extended kiss there. It's one of those it's almost a trope, isn't it? The real love interest, but the non-romantic reason to kiss them, it turns into a longer and more...
Where it's often used is if they are trying to hide, so perhaps they are spying on someone, following someone, or trying not to be seen, and the bad guy or whoever walks by them, they have to kiss.
Yeah.
To deflect attention.
Or in the Wedding Singer movie where they're practicing the church kiss without the groom being there. And it's, yeah.
Nigel Planer's brilliant in every scene.
Superb. After that clip ends, Maddie realises that Jonathan stinks of bin.
Shelford leaves, bemused and abused, but Jonathan reveals why he is stinking of fish.
Yeah. I liked the fact they used, I suppose they had to at the time, Scotch videos.
Yep, I had plenty of them in my day. Yeah.
TDX, I think, were the other ones that we could get quite a lot of. But most of the things that I had videoed were on Scotch tapes.
Yep, Maxwell, I think that was another.
Mm.
So he pulls his video from his shirt, and we see an astounded reaction shot from both of them as they now know who murdered Kirchen, and it goes to explain the miracle with the wardrobe.
Does it? Well, I suppose yes, it does. But what's on the tape doesn't really explain the miracle. I suppose it all ties in.
Back over to Zola's house. Brickman is shrugged off by Victoria when asked if he can do anything to help, but she is startled and shouts at him when she sees Jonathan outside inspecting the scaffolding.
Yeah, he comes down a ladder and she's obviously giving him a bit of a scare.
So he and Maddie enter, and she tells them Jonathan has gotten to the bottom of things. He then produces 2 videos that he claims provide a solution to the whole story before asking Brinkman what his mobile phone number is.
Yes, he's reluctant to give it out, but Victoria takes his phone from him and reads the number.
Maddie then asks him why he rang her flat yesterday, but he initially denies it.
Yeah, but they say they've got his number written down, and they do.
Jonathan calls his bluff by claiming that they got it from dialing 1471.
The way that they actually got the number was one of those things that's always stuck with me from Jonathan Creek through the years. It's that one of those tricks.
Yes.
It made me think that's what I would do if I was on Countdown.
Okay, but it is also one of the tricks that I've tried before, and it's practically impossible.
Your nails have to be just the right length.
Yeah, and to actually write like that and make anything sort of legible is pretty tough going. You'd have to practice an awful lot.
Presumably he does.
True.
So Maddie's concluded that he called to check the house was empty.
And then Victoria lunges at Brinkman, shouting that he killed her mother. But what does he do?
He says, he yells that he loved her, as if that's fixing everything.
Well, yeah, he sort of breaks down at this point. Maddie then says that that's why he filmed her. And they play one of the tapes as Jonathan describes what it all means.
We talked about the fence being 6 feet high. You saw a very tall man looking over the top. Well, I saw a short man standing on a box. It's all to do with the movement of the camera. A tall man standing on the ground would have walked along the fence at this point to follow her from room to room, while a man standing on a box just swivels the camera to keep her in frame. A subtle distinction, fairly meaningless in itself, until we come to this.
Summer holiday, no more worries for me.
It taught me that if you're to achieve any kind of presence in this world...
So this is the same thing we just saw on there?
So you
On the TV Zola was watching?
Not hard, was it? To whack it all together. Porridge and Summer Holiday both available at the local video shop. And the Newsnight titles you just taped the following night. Of course, Zola's interview you recorded off-air anyway. In other words, everything we just saw was a fake. She knew you were filming her with the camcorder because that's exactly what you'd arranged. When she pointed the remote at the set, she wasn't watching live television at all. She was switching on the video to play this tape.
No.
Because when you filmed her, it wasn't Thursday night, it was Friday night because she wasn't even here on Thursday night.
This is all lies!
Because that's the night she went out to murder David Kirchin.
No!
Far be it from me to call Jonathan's reasoning and thinking into question, but a tall person could easily film a panning shot.
Yeah, whenever I'm peeping Tomming, or if I ever was peeping Tomming, you'd quite possibly stand in the same spot because it's dark, you're in shrubs and bushes. If you walk to the side, you could quite easily trip, fall over, fall down a hole, make a noise, knock over a bin.
Be seen.
Be seen,
You
yeah.
might be in a nice secluded spot, the perfect spot. You can see the whole house. Why would you move?
Yeah, you wouldn't move. That's not what you would do at all.
Whether you were on a box or not.
Yeah, you don't move along with the person and back as if you're on some sort of dolly. Some little
But
train
that
track.
would be really weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think Jonathan is completely wrong.
Completely wrong. You find your dirty, seedy little love nest.
It's not a love nest.
It's not a love nest, no. Your little porn plot.
Yeah.
A little porn hole.
Voyeur palace.
That's it. And you stay there because you're scared.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught. That's the one thing. You don't want to do anything that's going to make it more likely that someone knows you're there.
I agree. I also have a second issue.
Okay.
Maddie claims in there that Summer Holiday and Porridge you can get very easily from the video shop. I disagree. In 1997. Now, these days, of course, you can buy them in DVD, etc. But there was limited space and shelves.
Yeah, it was hard to get things.
Porridge and copies of Porridge and copies of Summer Holiday was an old movie from the 60s.
Yeah.
That wasn't, no chance your local video shop was stocking that.
It's not like you get it on demand either, or any kind of streaming.
And even if one of them was, to get both of them, so the whole point of this is that she has to create this alibi after dropping the earring. So it wasn't pre-planned.
Yeah.
So she now has to go to the local video shop and be lucky enough to get those two things that were on
Is
the
she
TV.
buying it or is she renting it? Because if she's renting it, it's tied to their name.
Oh yeah, she'd be renting it.
Of course,
yeah, you'd be renting it, yeah.
Yeah, you don't just get to go in there and give a false name and you get to rent any video you want. You have
Precisely.
to prove who you are.
Yeah, this is weak.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where we are.
It's worked. They, by chance, managed to make these. But it's not the most unlikely thing in this episode.
No. So at this, Sam admits that Zola called her after she learned about the missing earring and panicked about having no alibi. So it was his idea to use the Peeping Tom tape, and Maddie was deliberately used as a witness to the accidental finding of it in the garden.
As we discussed.
Yes. However, they made a mistake in leaving an unedited tape lying around, and it was this tape that Victoria gave to Maddie to take home.
That happened to me all the time. You'd pick up the wrong box, or the wrong tape was in the wrong box.
That could be if you've seen Trainspotting.
Yes. That wasn't what I was thinking,
Okay.
but yes.
He then explains how they went to Maddie's place the next day in order to try and retrieve this second tape, and he describes what happened to Zola, what she did, and how she ended up in the wardrobe. Can you...
Yeah, well, this is a bit of, he's surmising, because Zola's obviously not there to talk to this. So while Maddie is out getting her wardrobe, that gives Zola time to go up the lift to the 4th floor. So she's way ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she can't get into Maddie's flat. So she goes out a window and works her way across it. How does she know which one's Maddie's flat?
You could probably find it out from a phone book.
She's maybe got her address on her public listing or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how the pipe got bent.
Mm-hmm.
But she gets into Maddie's flat that way. She makes the switch, so she's holding the tape she wanted to recover, and then the worst possible thing happens.
Yes, she hears them coming back in with the wardrobe, so she tries to hide in the spare room, but that's where the wardrobe is going.
Yes, at this point, did you think they've crushed her with the wardrobe?
Can't remember again. Perhaps, yeah.
Anyway, they take the wardrobe in there. She has chucked this video out the window.
Yes.
Because she thinks she's going to get caught.
And on the way down...
It's taking the head off a geranium.
Yeah.
When they push the wardrobe into the spare room, they stop for a moment, so she takes the opportunity to get in. So that's where she unlocks the wardrobe. So that's why I was asking earlier about whether it locks from the inside as well. I don't know if Maddie then unlocks it. It doesn't matter too much. Zola's inside the wardrobe on her own power.
Now that still doesn't explain how she ended up dead.
No.
How did she?
Well, rather frustratingly, it was a complete accident. She was clubbed over the head by an iron pipe as she left her home when it fell off the scaffolding.
Correct. So she was already dying. The concussion had set in, had started its work. So she dies in the wardrobe.
Well, that's fortuitous, isn't it? She dies in the few seconds between getting into the wardrobe and Maddie opening the wardrobe.
You say fortuitous?
In terms of the story.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very much not fortuitous for... Well, I suppose for Zola it doesn't matter. She's going to die, she's going to die.
Now, as Brickman contemplates his position, he suddenly realises that 1471 doesn't store mobile numbers, and that he was tricked by Jonathan.
Tricked into all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan shows him the graphite under the thumbnail. I was just saying, on Countdown, it'd be good. Someone says 7, you say 7, they give their word, you scribble it down. Same.
Yeah. Okay.
But then if you get asked first, then you say, oh, no, I've miscounted.
Yeah, you're doing that on Countdown, where at the end of the season, if you get to the final after, 10 games, you get some little crystal
Teapot. Well, you got a full set of dictionaries back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still do, because you can just get them on the internet.
Now, the millionaire cheat, alleged cheat, I can understand his motivation there. But Countdown is not where I would be focusing my resources on cheating on national television.
I think some folk, like Maddie's an example, like people to know that they are capable of superior feats of intelligence.
Yeah, I would like that by showing them my bank account and saying...
That's Donald Trump's way. Hey, look at my bank account. I'm really smart. Just for a change, we go to Maddie's flat.
Before we do, let's quickly chat about Sam Brickman. Okay. He was played by Philip McGough.
McGough?
Well, it's Gough with a Mick at the start.
Yeah, okay, McGough.
Philip has appeared in The Illusionist, Doctors, Bad Girls, The Bill, and The Beat Goes On, Boone, Only Fools and Horses, and Doctor Who.
Not the only one. He was a recurring character in Bad Girls. I like Bad Girls, that was a good show.
Yeah.
It was around about the same time as this, I think it was on.
It was. And in fact, while we're talking about Bad Girls, we've not mentioned Zola.
No.
She was played by Kika Mirrlees, born in 1959. Starred in Hobie City, Doctors, EastEnders, Bad Girls, Strathblair, The Darling Birds of May, The Bill, and Casualty.
She was a regular in Bad Girls when she was in a lot of episodes.
Was she?
If not all the episodes of that, yeah.
What type of character did she play? Was she one of the top dogs?
I don't remember anymore.
B. Smith-esque?
I don't remember anymore, but I know for you that no women's prison show will compare to Prisoners. So.
Well, I did enjoy the original Prisoner, and I am currently really enjoying the reboot.
They've rebooted that?
Yeah, Wentworth.
Okay.
That's what I'm watching just now. I'm not watching the original run, I'm watching Wentworth.
Is it still Australian?
Yeah. It's the same characters, but it's a reboot. So it starts off, it's the backstory. So when B. Smith goes in, she's not top dog, it's building up all the characters.
Okay.
So it's a precursor at the moment. I'm assuming that
everyone's going to leave to be in Home and Away.
Yeah, the neighbours.
Back at Maddie's flat, Maddie and Jonathan are getting at the back of a taxi and they've just come back from a funeral. We assume Zola's.
That's what we're led to believe. Both are wearing black and we hear Maddie claim that she shouldn't have went, far too emotional.
Yes. The first clue we get is the reference to the coffin being dropped and the elephant's trunk falling out. Jonathan points out that Adam likes to do things properly, and Maddie thinks they could perhaps have done without the 10 elephants trumping the last post at the crematorium. And they're interrupted.
They are. As Maddie walks up to her front door, she is nasally accosted by a high heel being held by an irate woman.
Now, if I remember the 90s, this was the traditional way for scorned women to threaten
It's the only way.
floozies.
Did you see how painful it looked? Now, it's hard to...
That's a hyper-extended nostril there, if ever I saw one.
Yeah, it's not easy to fake that.
I don't think it'd be faked at all.
Yeah, I mean, every time I watch it, I think, oh, that's painful.
Method acting, that's a true pro.
Who is holding the offending stiletto?
It's Mrs. Shelford.
Yeah, we see Shelford being very sheepish in the car.
He doesn't even come out to get involved.
No, timid little, he's cowering over. And yes, he's been warned off, so Maddie shouldn't be getting after her husband.
Yeah, this is a final warning, I think, for Maddie.
Jonathan laughs at this and has to admit that he noticed the mark of a wedding band outline on Shelford's fingers before.
Yeah, Maddie is not in the mood for humour. She quite rightly does not invite Jonathan in at this stage and shuts the door in his face.
And that's how we end.
I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, fun episode. There was lots of the sort of subplots were funny with Shelford and the elephant.
Yeah. A bit of a stretch at points.
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed just there at the end, there were aspects of it, if you are being critical and you think about it, don't really stand up.
Yeah.
But I think we can give them that.
Yeah, no, I think it was fine. It's television. We can't expect everything. If everything was the way it is in real life, it wouldn't be very good television.
It would be boring. It generally would be the partner did it.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Exactly. How about some production information?
The 24th of May 1997 was the original air date. This came in at 59 minutes again. The final outing for Marcus Mortimer as director. This is his third.
Well, he did the first three, so I think...
He's done his time.
Well, yeah, I think he's probably involved in some of the project creation and so on, and now he's passing the torch on.
Don't really have any trivia, per se. Hilary Leon, or Lion. Lion. She played the interviewer at the start, Cleo Patterson. She was previously married to the Scottish actor Alan Cumming.
That's not who I would have guessed her husband would have been.
No. You get anything for us?
No, we've covered my stuff, but we could just go back over the fact that Mr. Shelford, there's a Blackadder connection, and if you didn't catch that reference in the middle of the show, you can tune into the Blackadder podcast with us every now and then.
Before we go, will we have a review of the episode?
I think we should, because people are starting to expect that.
Okay, motive.
Well, it's quite flimsy, isn't it? She didn't like him, and she wanted rid of him.
Yeah, so it's preventing him, Cutchin, from ruining her, destroying her. It was, he was going to stop her book being published. Really,
it looked like it had been published, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe he was going to try and have it banned or pulled from the shelves for being libelous or something.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's not the greatest motive.
I think it's mostly that he went into the TV studio and really annoyed her.
Yeah.
But maybe he's been like that. Maybe he was an abusive partner.
Yeah, I suppose of what we read into what she said in the interview. But at this point in her life, to then kill him,
who knows?
Yeah, it's not. I think the motive could have been solidified a little bit. Alibi.
Well, she was filmed at home watching the interview.
Clues. So we've got the camcorder panning.
Earring.
Yeah. Finding the tape.
Yep.
The answer machine message. These are all clues to the overall...
Yeah.
The bent pipe, the flower, the tape being found in the rubbish. I suppose the scaffolding itself.
And the lead piping.
Lead piping, yes.
Not the pencil. That wasn't a clue.
No. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Gotcha.
Well, that was the second tape being found. Well, yeah.
The gotcha in terms of Zola is the fact that there's been an edited tape found. But does that really...
It doesn't prove that she committed the murder. It proves that her alibi was completely fabricated.
Yeah, we won't get into too much of a discussion on this because at the end of the season, we'll do a season review where we'll look at the guilt or
innocence
of
provability.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not really a gotcha. I suppose the gotcha in this instance is the cover-up by Brickman.
Yes.
And even that is only his confession.
Yes, which is drawn out of him by the fake mobile number writing down trick.
Yeah. I think this is fairly flimsy.
Yeah. The killer's dead anyway, so yeah, maybe he gets charged with obstructing the course of justice a little bit.
Okay, we'll chat about it in the future. In 2 weeks, we have No Trace of Tracy.
Okay.
A Trace of Murder.
Look forward to that one. Before we go, it would be very much appreciated if you guys could go into Apple Podcasts or iTunes if you're on a computer and rate and review and subscribe to the show. Like I always say, even if you don't use that as your primary podcast listening method, it'll help more people find the show. If we can get lots of reviews, that'll help the chat as well out on jonathancreekpodcast.com, where there's a post for each episode and folk are getting involved, talking about them. It's been good fun so far, and the more people we can get involved in that, the better. If you want to talk to us, other than on the website, you can get us on social media as well. We're at Creek Podcast on both Twitter and Facebook.
Okay, until next time,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.